It is shortly after noon, and Rose is turned toward me when she is ambushed from her blind side by a lithe figure with braided hair and a featureless torn sundress, who appears as if dropped from the sky, hurtling into Rose's lap with playful fury. "Mama, I'm hungry, 10-year-old," Annalise says, as Rose gathers the girl up in her arms. It is the girl's summer vacation, and she awoke to a house with no food. "Then help me work," Rose says to her. The girl is like a talisman today. Within 30 minutes of her arrival, 3 customers appear at the tomato stand, forking out about 8 cents apiece for a handful of the medium-sized tomatoes. Annalise, who worked the vegetable stand alone for 3 weeks last year when her mother was bedridden with malaria, rips scraps of paper from one of Zambia's independent newspapers, The Monitor. An editorial laments the failure of Chiluba's economic policies. Annalise wraps the tomatoes inside. Rose hates to count money during the day. She is afraid that there are too many idle young men around, waiting to snatch a day's revenue from some unsuspecting woman's hand. So she usually hides the crumpled, faded bills underneath the plain white doily on her table. The newspaper provides Rose with both something to do in between customers and an idea of how business is going that day. "If you are just reading bits and pieces of a story at the end of the day, you've made good money," Rose is saying. "If you have a lot to read at the end of the day, then you have not made very much money. If I have used up most of my newspaper today, I will be able to buy maybe 2 small bags of maize meal, and that is all I need to make me happy today." Relatively speaking, Rose does better than many other Zambians. Her husband left her with a 2-bedroom home. She has no electricity and relies on kerosene lamps and candles for light, charcoal, or heat and fire. But with a tap in her backyard, that's a faucet, she does have access to clean water, which saves the time it would take to fetch water from faraway wells or risk waterborne illnesses such as cholera. And Rose has been able to make the most of her meager earnings by joining a relief agency project that provides small loans to poor entrepreneurs. The money is not much, maybe $20 every 6 months, but it tides Rose over in particularly rough times, ensuring that she has a steady supply of tomatoes to sell. "It's not a lot of money," said Joshua Tom, a project coordinator for CARE, the U.S.-based relief agency that runs the micro-lending fund. "But it can mean the difference between life and starvation for a lot of people here." Living on $1 a day makes budgeting difficult, but also reduces it to a few simple priorities. Of Rose's profits from the stand, roughly $12 to $18 a month, half goes for food. About $2 goes for the fees charged by Annalise Public School. Rose pays $2 a month for water, another $1.50 in property taxes, and 50 cents for the government's health care insurance plan. Whatever is left goes to pay off her loan from CARE. Health insurance for the whole family would cost double what Rose pays for herself. So whenever other family members get sick and need to go to the clinic, they simply pretend to be Rose. That works fine for Rose and her 4 daughters, but when her 20-year-old son came down with malaria last year, employees at the local clinic wanted to know how he came to have a woman's name. "He told them that his parents really wanted a girl," Rose explains, dabbing her eyes while laughing at a rare triumph. Water, education, and health care were free during most of Kaunda's rule, and it rankles her that she now has to pay for basic services. "That's money I could spend on meat," she says testily. "The family eats meat only once a year, usually at Christmas, when Rose splurges. It's rubbing salt in our wounds to take jobs away from the people and then make them pay for things they cannot afford because they are not working." Another customer wanders by, followed by another maybe an hour later. By 3 p.m., Rose has earned a little more than half of what she needs to buy 2 3-pound bags of maize meal, meaning that the market's end-of-day rush will make or break her. The few people in town with jobs usually stop at the market on their way home, but it's anyone's guess whether they will need any tomatoes or whether they will choose roses over the other vendors who sell them. Over those of the other vendors who sell them. Still, Rose is feeling confident. Perhaps more important, she wants Anellis to feel confident, safe, to believe that she will have food today. Children should not live with such grown-up worries, she will say later. So she gives the girl the equivalent of about 12 cents and sends her off to buy vegetables for this evening's nishima, an act of faith. Pick out what you want to eat with the nishima and take them home for you and your sister to chop, she is saying to Anellis, whose right hand is outstretched in anticipation. She skips off happily. By 4 p.m. the market is a hive, snatches of color and sound and chaos that flit across the landscape, young men pushing wheelbarrows, an old toothless man holding a squawking chicken in a plastic bag, barefoot children weaving through the vendors' stands, chasing one another, women squinting in the sun from their misshapen stools. Rose is beckoning to a boy to fetch her a cup of tea for a nickel. It has been nearly 24 hours since she last ate anything. This is what I usually have for lunch, she says. It settles an empty stomach. Then a flurry of customers. Rose springs from her stool. A woman buys one of Rose's biggest tomatoes for about 12 cents. A young man with a tie buys another. A woman who attends the same church as Rose palms 3 of the small ones and hands Rose about 8 cents. Rose, I'm skinny, but you are really getting skinny, she remarks as Rose wraps her tomatoes in newspaper. You're going to look as old as me if you don't eat. This life we live makes us old before we are ready, Rose replies, as she hands the package across the table. The sun is setting when Rose returns to her stool and retrieves the scraps of newspaper from underneath her table. She sizes up her surroundings and, seeing no signs of danger, pulls the wrinkled bills from underneath her doily. She melts into her seat while she counts. 3,900 Zambian kwacha, about 97 cents. Rose is smiling as she rises from her stool to go buy the maize meal that she promised to bring her daughter, then start her 30-minute walk home. Ah, she says as she stretches her arms toward the sky, today we are rich.